Yeah. Hello again. Proactive Child Training number 4 from Trumpet of Jubilee Ministries, Johnny and Patrick, usually referred to as the bad cop. Anyway, today we're thinking about training kids by basically building habits into them before that they can make choices based on principles because they're too young. They don't understand the principles. They are trained into godly and civil habits.
So an example of that would be dinner time. You have what you consider standards of the way eating ought to progress. Not being sloppy, not throwing your food all over would be obvious. But even more basic would be, and this is a basic principle for a lot of things with children, don't give them a choice, give them a plan. And in this case, the plan is, we're going to eat dinner. You're going to enjoy what was set before you. And you're not going to get to negotiate to eat something else.
Wow, well, there's a concept. All right, so if we allow little guys to throw a fit, to fuss, to complain, just to have a generally unpleasant demeanor about mealtime. Well, they probably learned that prior to mealtime, but if we're going to let that manifest at mealtime, it'll manifest at any time. And the general idea we're driving at here is we want to have the habit of pleasant, joyful, decent type of behaviors that anybody would be, happy to hang out with. So, if the little guy decides he doesn't want what you've cooked, and he gets all puffed up, and the whole throw a fit, cross his arms, cry, poke his tongue out, kick back in a chair, all that stuff that makes you just want to smack him. You know what I'm talking about. Then probably I'll let them have what they need. But okay, since we're trying to behave ourselves here, and I'm a good cop, here's the thing. First and foremost, that isn't the habit that you would want to reinforce. So if we're going to reinforce healthy, good habits, then we want to reinforce them having a happy attitude and a happy demeanor and a grateful type of a spirit where they're happy to have something to eat and they're glad that mama made it. So we start with that.
And that's really more important than you might think, because the food that they get, that's one of the first big things in their life, starting with, right from the baby starting to nurse. So it's a big part of their life. So it's a very valid place to begin training. And the whole notion of you just eat what's put before you, that's a great place to start. I remember my daughter had when she was small, had one of her little friends over, and I had made my world famous chili. At least my daughter thinks it is. And so I dished them up chili, and her little friend says, I don't like chili. I don't want to eat that. And I said, well, fine. You can watch us eat chili then. I had a feeling that if she tried it, she would like it. It is world famous. So.
It is.
So sure enough, we ate for not very long, maybe a couple of minutes. And she says, well, maybe I'll try a little bit. And she did, and she liked it. But somewhere she'd gotten in the habit of thinking, she was going to eat Cheerios instead of my chili. Can you imagine that?
I cannot imagine that.
For dinner. And those Cheerios don't have that much nutrition in them.
So no, they're not packing much of a punch before or later. Anyway, having said that, the subject of manipulation comes to my mind. Because if little Junior throws a hissy fit at the table and don't want to eat, then usually instead of a parent parenting up and saying, well, I demand obedience, then they want to make a deal. So the first deal usually comes up as, oh, it's not that bad. If you'll just eat your supper, then we'll give you ice cream for dessert. So instead of learning to simply obey because that's what you're supposed to do, they learn that they can make a deal and essentially you will pay. You will be extorted for any compliance that you get from this kid. So, to say the least, that's a bad plan. The correct plan would be we've again already, from the time they're born, been training them to eat what they're given. So now they're 2 or 3 and they're saying no. The option is you can wipe that rotten attitude off your entire countenance and start eating with a smile on your face, or I will deal with it. And I don't mean maybe. It means we're going to bust them.
I thought you were the good cop.
I'm supposed to be the good cop. But that really irritates me, so that's
Right.
a place I'd go pretty quick.
Well, and the problem with that in my mind is the manipulation. You may finally get some behavior out of them that you like, but you didn't change their heart. And their heart is, they need to have their heart set right. Because with a right heart, you'll make right decisions and your life will go like it ought to. With a manipulative attitude, it's all, how can I get what I want? And who cares about anybody else is what it finally gets down to.
We'll talk about manipulation more next time.